Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Practice English. I'm really glad to have you here today. If this is your first time watching, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. The Solo Fluency Masterclass. How many times have you felt that specific, crushing frustration? You watch a movie on Netflix and you understand 95% of it. You read a news article and the grammar makes perfect sense. But the exact second you open your mouth to speak, you freeze. The words are there, locked inside your head, but they refuse to come out. You stumble, you panic, and you revert to basic vocabulary that makes you sound like a child, even though your thoughts are complex. Most learners look at this gap and convince themselves that the missing piece of the puzzle is a person. They tell themselves, I can't become fluent because I don't have a native speaker to practice with. Or, I don't live in New York or London. I want you to let go of that excuse right now. It is a myth. The truth is, you do not need a conversation partner to reach C1 fluency. In fact, waiting for a partner is often what keeps you stuck. The reason you aren't improving isn't a lack of people to talk to. It is a fundamental imbalance in your routine. You are likely falling into the input trap. You are drowning in passive consumption, listening to hours of content, but you are starving your brain of production. Over the next 30 minutes, we are going to dismantle that trap. This is not going to be a list of generic tips like watch movies with subtitles. We are going to build a comprehensive military-grade training system for your English. We are going to deep dive into the 7 pillars of solo fluency, covering everything from the mechanics of shadowing and active narration to leveraging AI technology to force your brain to think in English. By the end of this video, you will no longer need to wait for a partner. You will have a concrete, actionable routine that allows you to practice speaking every single day, completely on your own. So, put your phone on silent, close your other tabs, and grab a physical notebook. This is not a video you simply watch. This is a workshop. Let's get to work. Phase 1. Curating comprehensible input. Let's start with the foundation. If you build a house on a swamp, it sinks. If you try to speak English without the right input, you stall. The biggest mistake I see intermediate learners make is what I call the ego trap. You feel like you should be listening to the BBC World News or watching complex Christopher Nolan movies without subtitles. But here is the reality. If you only understand 50% of what is being said, your brain isn't learning, it's just coping. It turns the language into white noise. Conversely, if you go back to watching children's cartoons, you're safe, but you aren't growing. You need to find the Goldilocks zone. In linguistics, we call this I+1. I is your current level, and the +1 is material that is just slightly beyond your reach. Material where you understand about 80% of the context and you are fighting to grasp that last 20%. That struggle is where the learning happens. But how do you consume this? You need to split your time between active and passive listening. Passive listening is what you do while you're at the gym or folding laundry. It keeps the rhythm of the language in your ear. But active listening? That is a sit-down study session, and it requires a strategy. First, look at your source material. Stop listening to scripted news for practice. News anchors speak in a robotic, perfect cadence that doesn't exist in the real world. You need to switch to conversational podcasts, specifically long-form interviews. Why? Because you need to hear the messiness of English. You need to hear the ums, the likes, the pauses, and the interruptions. This is where the natural flow of the language lives. Now, here is a tactical hack to use during your active sessions. Speed manipulation. Most podcast apps allow you to change playback speed. If you are struggling with a difficult section, drop the speed to 0.75x. This stretches the sounds out and lets you hear exactly how the vowels are connecting. On the flip side, once you are comfortable, boost it to 1.25 times. This forces your brain to process information faster than real time, so when you return to normal speed, the language actually feels slow and manageable. And finally, we have to talk about ghost words. Have you ever listened to a sentence and thought, I have no idea what he just said, but then you read the transcript and realized you knew every single word? That's because native speakers swallow words. What do you want to do? Becomes, what do you want to do? To fix this, you must use the transcript analysis method. Listen to a clip first without the text. Then listen again with the text. Highlight the words that your ears missed. You are training your brain to map the sound of the ghost word to the actual vocabulary you already know. And one final rule for this phase: rotate your genres. If you only watch tech reviews, you will be brilliant at discussing iPhones, but unable to order dinner. Rotate between tech, cooking, vlogs, and history. You need a balanced diet of vocabulary to be truly fluent. Phase 2. The shadowing technique. Now that we've fixed how you listen, we need to wake up your mouth. Most people think speaking practice means constructing original sentences. That is the end goal, yes. But if you try to build a bridge without a blueprint, it collapses. Before you can create, you must learn to imitate. This brings us to the most powerful tool in the solo learner's arsenal: shadowing. Let's be clear about what this is not. This is not listen and repeat. In a traditional classroom, the teacher says a sentence, waits, and then you say it back. That is memory recall. Shadowing is completely different. Shadowing is simultaneous. You are speaking along with the audio, like a faint echo, lagging just a fraction of a second behind the speaker. Why do we do this? Because speaking is a physical, athletic act. Your tongue, your lips, your jaw, they are muscles. If they aren't used to the gymnastics of English sounds, you will stumble. Shadowing bypasses the grammar center of your brain and goes straight to muscle memory. Here is the 3-step protocol to do this correctly. Step 1 is the comprehension pass. Listen to the clip once, purely to understand the meaning. If you don't know what they are saying, you can't shadow it with intent. Step 2 is text shadowing. Open the transcript. Play the audio. Read aloud with the speaker. Let their voice guide your speed. If they speed up, you speed up. If they pause for breath, you pause. You are syncing your rhythm to theirs. Step 3 is the blind shadow. This is where the magic happens. Put the text away. Close your eyes. Play the audio and speak along with it purely by ear. Now, as you do this, I want you to stop obsessing over individual letters. Forget the TH sound for a moment. Instead, focus entirely on prosody. Prosody is the music of the language, the rhythm, the stress, the intonation. English is a stress-timed language. We eat some syllables and shout others. If you pronounce every word perfectly but get the rhythm wrong, you will sound robotic. If you get the rhythm right but mumble the words, you will still sound fluent. Shadowing teaches you the music. To take this to the elite level, you need to use emotional mimicry. Don't just copy the words, copy the feeling. If the speaker in the podcast is angry, I want you to sound angry. If they are whispering, you whisper. If they are laughing, you laugh. Why? Because emotion is the glue that makes memories stick. When you attach an emotion to a sentence structure, your brain tags it as important data. Finally, we have the step that everyone skips because it is painful: the recording check. You must record your shadowing session. I know listening to your own voice is cringeworthy. We all hate it. But you cannot trust your ears while you are speaking. Your brain is too busy processing. You need to record yourself, listen to the original audio, and then listen to your recording. Compare the waveforms. Did you go up at the end of the sentence when the native speaker went down? Did you pause where they didn't? That difference is your accent. Spot it and correct it. Phase 3: Self-talk and narration. Shadowing teaches you how English sounds. Now, we need to teach you how English feels when it comes from your own brain. This leads us to the most accessible yet most underutilized technique in language learning: narrating your day. It sounds simple, perhaps even a little crazy, but I want you to talk to yourself constantly. As you move through your house, broadcast your life like a radio commentator. I am walking into the kitchen. I am reaching for the mug. No, not the blue one, the white one. The water is boiling. Why do we do this? Because it bridges the gap between thinking and speaking. Usually, you only speak English during study time. That means your brain separates real life from English life. By narrating mundane tasks, you force your brain to label your immediate reality in English. You are removing the friction between the thought and the word. Once you are comfortable with narration, we level up to the 2-minute rant. Here's the drill. Pick a random topic. It could be why traffic is terrible, my favorite movie, or why pizza is the best food. Set a timer on your phone for exactly 2 minutes. Your goal is to speak about that topic for the full duration without stopping. There is only one rule: no dead air. If you run out of ideas, you keep talking. If you have to repeat yourself, you repeat yourself. If you have to say, I don't know what to say next, you say that in English. This exercise builds stamina. It trains your brain to keep the engine running even when the fuel is low. Now, inevitably, during these rants, you will hit a wall. You will forget a specific word. Maybe you want to say kettle, but your mind goes blank. Most learners stop. They freeze. They reach for Google Translate. Do not do that. When you stop to look up a word, you kill the flow of conversation. Instead, you must master the art of circumlocution. This is the art of talking around the missing word. If you forget the word kettle, you say, the machine that boils water. If you forget umbrella, you say, the thing I hold over my head when it rains. This is actually a higher level skill than knowing the vocabulary word itself. It proves you have command over the language, not just a dictionary in your head. It keeps the conversation alive. To close out this phase, let's talk about the interview method. Intermediate learners are usually great at answering questions, but terrible at asking them. So, I want you to play both roles. Interview yourself. Host you. So, what are your plans for the weekend? Guest you. Well, I'm thinking of hiking, but it depends on the weather. Host you. Oh, really? Where do you usually go hiking? By playing both sides, you practice the sentence structures for inquiries, inversion, auxiliary verbs, and intonation, which are often neglected when you are just the passive student. All of these exercises drive toward one goal: thinking in English. Right now, you likely have a translation step. You see a table. You think of the word in your native language. Then you translate it to table. That extra step slows you down. By narrating, ranting, and circumlocuting, you are wiring your brain to look at the object and immediately fire the neuron for table, skipping the translation entirely. Phase 4. Contextual vocabulary acquisition. Stop memorizing lists. If you are currently sitting with a notebook writing dog equals perro or run equals correr in 2 neat columns, you are wasting your time. Our brains are not hard drives, they are association machines. An isolated word has no Velcro, it has nothing to stick to. You memorize it today, and by next Tuesday, it's gone. To actually retain vocabulary, we need to switch to sentence mining. Here is the golden rule of this phase: never write down a word alone. If you find a new word in a podcast or an article, you must steal the entire sentence it lived in. Why? Because English is obsessed with collocations. Collocations are words that naturally go together. For example, in English, we do not do a mistake. We make a mistake. We don't say fast rain, we say heavy rain. If you only memorize the word mistake, you won't know which verb pairs with it. If you memorize the sentence, I made a terrible mistake yesterday, you get the verb, the noun, and the adjective all wrapped in a grammar structure. You get the full package. Now, where do you store these sentences? You need a spaced repetition system, or SRS. Apps like Anki or Quizlet are the industry standard here. But most people use them wrong. They create digital versions of those old lists, English on the front, native language on the back. I want you to ban your native language from your flashcards. On the front of the card, put the English sentence with the target word highlighted. On the back, do not put the translation. Instead, put a definition in simple English, a synonym, or an image. If the word is gigantic, the back of your card should not say the word in your language. It should show a picture of a massive skyscraper or an elephant. This forces your brain to stay in English mode during the entire review process. Once you have your system, we need to refine your output with the synonym swap. This is for those of you who feel like you always sound basic. You want to sound smart, but you keep saying good, bad, and big. Here is the exercise. Write a simple sentence. The movie was good. Now, I want you to rewrite that sentence 3 times, swapping the adjective for something more specific or intense. 1. The movie was compelling. 2. The movie was entertaining. 3. The movie was a masterpiece. Do you see the difference? Good is lazy. Compelling tells a story. By actively hunting for synonyms, you expand your active vocabulary range. Finally, we have to tackle the nightmare of every English learner: phrasal verbs. Get up, get down, get over, get by. These little prepositions change everything. You cannot learn these by definition alone. You must learn them by contextual scenarios. Don't just write "get over" to recover. Create a scenario in your head. Imagine a breakup. He needs to get over her. Imagine a cold. I need to get over this flu. By anchoring the phrasal verb to a specific life situation, you move it from short-term memory to long-term understanding. Phase 5. Writing as slowed down speaking. I know what you're thinking. I clicked on this video to learn how to speak, not how to write essays. But here's the secret that polyglots know. Writing is just speaking in slow motion. When you speak, you are performing a high-wire act. You have to think of the word, check the grammar, pronounce it, and monitor the listener's reaction all at the same time. It is high pressure. When you write, you have the luxury of time. You can freeze the frame. You can look at a sentence and say, wait, does the adjective go before or after the noun here? Writing reinforces the exact same neural pathways as speaking, but it allows you to spot your errors before they become habits. So, how do we turn writing into speaking practice? First, we implement the daily journal, but with a twist. I don't want you to write, "Dear Diary, today I ate eggs." That is too easy. I want you to focus on feelings over events. Don't just say what happened, say how you felt about it. Describing emotions requires complex sentence structures. Instead of, "I went to work," you write, "I dragged myself to work because I was feeling exhausted and overwhelmed." See the difference? You just forced your brain to use a phrasal verb, dragged myself, and two complex adjectives. Next, we use the paraphrase method. Read a short paragraph from a news article. Then look away and try to rewrite that paragraph entirely in your own words. If the article says, "The economy is facing a downturn," you might write, "Financial markets are struggling right now." This breaks your reliance on specific words and forces you to understand the concept. If you can say the same thing in 3 different ways, you are fluent. And we need to change how you use tools like Grammarly. Most people see a red underline, click accept, and move on. That is useless. When you see that red line, I want you to treat it as a diagnostic tool. Stop. Look at the correction. Ask yourself, why is my version wrong? Did I use the wrong preposition? Did I mess up the tense? If you don't understand why the computer corrected you, you will make the same mistake when you speak. Finally, use creative what-if prompts. The hardest part of English grammar for many is the conditional tense: would have, could have, should have. To practice this, give yourself a prompt. What would I do if I found $1 million tomorrow? If I found it, I would buy a house. Writing these scenarios creates a safe sandbox to practice these complex grammar math problems so that when you need them in conversation, they flow naturally. Phase 6. Leveraging AI and technology. If you are still using the excuse, "I have nobody to talk to," that excuse died in 2023. We are living in the golden age of language learning. You have a native speaker, a grammar teacher, and a role-play partner in your pocket 24/7. The first tool is AI voice mode. Whether you use ChatGPT, Gemini, or Pi, These LLMs can now speak to you with near-human latency. But don't just say hello. You need to use prompt engineering to create a simulation. Tell the AI, act as a Starbucks barista in London. I want to order a coffee, but make it difficult for me. Ask me questions about the size, the milk, and the blend. Correct my grammar after every turn. Suddenly, you aren't just practicing English. You are in a low-stakes simulation of a real-world encounter. You can stumble, you can pause, and the AI won't judge you. It will just wait. Next, use AI to roast your grammar. Take that journal entry you wrote in Phase 5, paste it into the AI, and give it this prompt. Analyze this text. Don't just fix it. Tell me what my most common mistakes are and explain the grammar rules I am breaking. It is like having a private tutor analyze your brain for free. Beyond AI, we have Youglish. Dictionaries tell you what a word means. Youglish tells you how it is actually used. You type in a word, and it searches thousands of YouTube videos for that exact word, queuing them up to the specific second it is spoken. You can hear how Obama pronounces it, how a tech CEO pronounces it, and how a vlogger pronounces it. This is the ultimate context machine. And finally, a simple environment hack. Change your OS language. Change your phone and your laptop to English. Yes, it will be annoying for 3 days. You will struggle to find the settings menu, but that frustration is good. It forces you to learn navigational vocabulary. Cancel, confirm, upload, download, by necessity, not by choice. Make your digital environment hostile to your native language. Phase 7. Building the immersion routine. We have covered a lot of theory, but theory without execution is just entertainment. You can watch 100 videos on how to do a push-up, but until you get on the floor, you have no muscles. Motivation gets you started, but habit keeps you going. Motivation is unreliable. It disappears when you are tired or stressed. A routine is non-negotiable. So, how do we fit all these techniques, shadowing, narration, sentence mining, into a life that is already busy? We use the concept of dead time. You do not need to find new hours in your day. You need to reclaim the lost minutes. The time you spend commuting, washing dishes, waiting in line at the grocery store, that is your classroom. Here is the busy professional schedule. I want you to try this for the next 30 days. Morning, the commute. Do not listen to music. This is your input phase. 15 minutes of a conversational podcast. If you are driving, just listen. If you are on a train, read the transcript. Lunch break, the microdose. Do not doom scroll Instagram. This is your vocabulary phase. 10 minutes of Anki or Quizlet. Review your sentence mines while you eat. Evening, the workout. This is the only time you need to be alone. This is your active phase. 15 minutes. Pick one active method: shadowing, the 2-minute rant, or journaling. Just 15 minutes. That is a total of 40 minutes a day, but because it is spread out, it doesn't feel like a burden. Now, you need to track this. I want you to use the Seinfeld strategy. Jerry Seinfeld had a calendar, and every day he wrote a joke, he put a red X on that day. His only goal was, don't break the chain. Get a physical calendar. Put an X every day you complete your 40 minutes. Seeing a streak of 10 days gives you a psychological protective layer. You won't want to break it. But I have to warn you about the plateau. Around day 20, you will feel like you aren't improving. You will feel stuck. You will think, I'm doing all this work, but I still make mistakes. This is normal. In fact, it is necessary. This is what we call the plateau of latent potential. Your brain is consolidating data. It is rewiring underneath the surface. Improvement in language is not a straight line up. It is a staircase. You stay flat for a long time, and then suddenly, boom, you jump up a level. Do not quit on the flat part. The jump is coming. Conclusion. Let's recap. We've learned that you don't need a partner, you need a system. We've learned to swap passive listening for active analysis. We've learned to swap listen and repeat for shadowing. We've learned to stop translating and start narrating. We've learned to bury word lists and embrace sentence mining. We've learned to use writing as slow motion speaking. And we've learned to leverage AI as our on-demand tutor. Fluency is not a destination. You don't cross a finish line and say, I am finished with English. It is a lifestyle. It is a lens through which you view the world. There is a version of you 6 months from now who speaks confidently, who jokes in English, who handles business meetings without sweating. That version of you exists, but they are waiting for you to start the work today. Here is my challenge to you. Pick one. Do not try to do all 7 things tomorrow. You will burn out. Pick one method from this video. Maybe it's the 2-minute rant. Maybe it's shadowing. And commit to it for 7 days. I want you to comment below right now. I commit to. I read the comments and I will be cheering you on. Check the description for links to the apps and transcripts we discussed. You have the tools. You have the roadmap. The rest is up to you. Go practice. I'll see you in the next one.